перекур.
Нема.
Розуміємо. Білому. Поясник. Там вообще отпало питання просто все.
Хлопці, давайте почнемо без позви, просто махніть мені, коли початок.
Окей, можна? Окей, да. Все, тоді.
Буде швидше.
2 хвилини.
It's December 4, Ukraine Media Center Ukrinform starts its operation. My name is Svetlana Chaparenko, and now we will be talking about the situation in the borders blocked by the protesters. Joining us in the studio is Andriy Demchenko, the spokesperson of the State Bodyguard Service of Ukraine. Good afternoon, Mr. Andriy. Good afternoon. Well, the Polish protesters are blocking our border. It's been already more than a month, or almost a month. The Slovakian protesters joined them this time, but let's start with the Polish border. One checkpost has opened, so did it really open? And what are the specifics of its operation? Well, we have to understand that this checkpost was operating even before that, but only those vehicles were allowed to cross that were not cargo trucks, like light cars, buses, and empty vehicles. So upon the negotiations with the Polish side, it's one of the agreements that this checkpost will be used to let the cargo trucks weighing more than 7.5 tons through, but they will be moving exclusively from Ukraine to Poland, and when they are coming empty tonight at 1 o'clock in the night, this type of vehicles started to be processed in this checkpost. About 30 cargo vehicles left Ukraine in the direction of Poland. There were about 60 of them in total in line. And in fact, electronic line does not operate for cargo trucks in this checkpost, meaning that the vehicles come to the border and cross the border just in a regular line, but there is a specific lane dedicated for the cargo trucks, and the line is being differentiated before the crossing the border. So it's our joint checkpost where all the control services of Ukraine and Poland are on duty. So can we say that it has become the first step to solve the situation between Ukraine and Poland? Well, basically, yes, it was one of the agreements that we achieved to have this checkpost letting the empty cargo trucks weighing over 7.5 tons through to Poland, which will further allow us to decrease the lines in the border, because there are more agreements that we should implement, and I hope they will be implemented shortly within the next couple of days. Specifically, the creation of permits in electronic line for empty cargo vehicles that leave Ukraine through Yakodin and Krakivets checkposts. And basically the infrastructure of those checkposts allows us allocating specific lanes for this category of vehicles. However, talking generally about the situation in the border with Poland, blocking unfortunately is still in effect. We have blockings in Rovoruski Hrebeny, Dorohuski Yagodin, Krakivets Korchova. Those are the directions where the blocking has started on the 6th of November. Starting from the 23rd November, Shekhinimodika checkpost was added. And as of this morning, there are around 2.5 thousand vehicles standing in lines on those four checkposts. Most of them, almost 900, in the checkpost of Rovoruska. We document a number of vehicles still crossing the border, both leaving and entering Poland. However, the intensity of movement, as it was on the days before the 6th of November, is way slower. Previously, we agreed with the Polish side to let the cargo vehicles through Rovoruska, and then the light vehicles were forwarded to other checkposts. That's a huge infrastructure facility where 12 to 1300 vehicles were crossing the border in both directions daily. Within the last day, about 130 vehicles have crossed the border. So the cargo flow intensity is way lower today. Just like in other checkposts, about 150 vehicles have crossed the border in the checkpost of Rovoruska. Meanwhile, previously, this number was reaching 600 to 700. And the most intense movement is in the checkpost of Krakivets. However, it's still less intense than before the 6th of November. You've mentioned that about 2,500 cargo vehicles are currently blocked in the border. Do we have any information about the number of people who were blocked there, and do they get any help there? Well, I don't have such an information for the time being, but the Ministry of Infrastructure announced and deployed the staff to help those drivers in line waiting to enter Poland to cover their need in fuel, medicines, and food. The staff collects all the necessary things, all the necessities, and forwards them to those drivers who have spent multiple days waiting to cross the border in lines. Yesterday there was an information that the Polish protesters don't let the boat safe sail protection, which was provided as an aid from the United States government to Ukraine. Do you have any information about this situation? I don't have any additional information about the boat, but we remember that the protesters promised not to create obstacles in moving the fuel and humanitarian aid to Ukraine, but whether they really allow all those categories of goods being transported to Ukraine, well, that's something that I cannot guarantee. Of course, we see humanitarian cargo coming to the border from Poland, and just a regular cargo which is about to cross the border, or which is supposed to cross the border, but whether they ensure non-blocking for those categories of cargo that they promised, well, I cannot give you 100% guarantee. Well, talking about the situation in Slovakian border, during a previous meeting you said that the Slovakian transporters have already crossed or blocked the border previously, but you mentioned that that was not the last crossing and they would revert to this idea. Now the checkposts in the Slovakian borders are blocked from the 1st of December. Is there a way to get out of this situation just like we did previous year? Well, in the Slovakian border, as soon as the protesting started in the Polish border, we documented the increasing number of cargo trucks coming to Ukraine through Slovakian border. Even before the 21st of November, there were already lines formed in the checkpost of Vyshne-Nemetsky and Uzhhorod. On the 21st of November, according to the information from the Slovakian colleagues, the blocking started, but it was lasting maybe half a day, because in the night the Slovakian border guard have already reported that the movement was already unblocked. Well, how can we evaluate it as temporarily unblocked? Well, probably they had some information that the activity may renew, and basically in the end of the last week the Union of Slovakian Cargo Carriers started blocking the border, and for the time being in this direction there were 650 cargo vehicles in line waiting to cross the border in the direction of Slovakia, but the protesters reported that they would let 4 cargo trucks through per hour in the direction of Ukraine, and the movement from Ukraine to Slovakia will not be blocked at all. And also they would not block the movement of humanitarian and other types of cargo. What we document for the time being is some decrease, not critical, but certain decrease of the number of cargo vehicles coming to the border waiting to cross into Ukraine. Also, we document the decrease of the cargo trucks that are trying to cross the border from Hungary to Ukraine. Again, the situation is related to the fact that other directions are either blocked or the movement through them is complicated. For the time being, in the Tisa checkpost in the border with Hungary in direction of Ukraine, there were around 750 cargo trucks waiting to cross the border to Ukraine. Well, comparing it to the previous month when the borders were not closed, how did the workload increase in those checkposts that are still open? Well, the infrastructure of a checkpost just allows processing a certain number of vehicles within a day, so no matter whether the line there are more vehicles or less vehicles in line. So please understand that we were able to they were working to the maximum load, and now there is just the accumulation of the cargo vehicles in the border. Well, and talking about the accumulation, so how longer have lines become? Well, in Slovakian side there were no lines waiting to cross the border in the direction of Ukraine previously. So let's proceed to the questions from the floor. Yana Lomoshenko, Ukrinform, do you have any information about how long the blocking on the Slovakian side will last? Well, if we use the information that we have from our Slovakian colleagues, according to the information that they have from the protesters, those activities were stated as infinite. So there was no specific expiration date specified. But again, the government authorities of Ukraine continue trying to find compromise and the ways to communicate the situation to our colleagues, to negotiate it with the colleagues, to unblock the checkposts in the border with Slovakia and Poland as well. Well, now that we don't have any more questions on the floor, thank you very much, Mr. Andriy. I'm reminding you joining us was Andriy Demchenko, spokesperson for the State Bodyguard Service of Ukraine, and we will be back on air at 14 o'clock and we'll talk about the National Reading Week. Stay tuned.